got some brand new major Bears rumors around Maxx Crosby and DJ Moore. This is new reporting that we're going to discuss here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We will get into it in just a moment, but guys, this is really the time to subscribe because trade rumors are heating up. We just saw Trent McDuffie get traded. Who's going to be the next big name traded? Maybe it's Maxx Crosby. We got NFL free agency next week, which of course we will be live pretty much all day Monday and several other days as well. Support the movement. Hit that subscribe button. Would love to get to 159,000 subscribers before the start of free agency. So if you want free and daily Bears content, hit that subscribe button. Okay, Maxx Crosby to Chicago. Yet another NFL insider has linked Crosby to the Bears. Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports writing this up today. He had a lot of nuggets in his article today for different players. He says Las Vegas is extremely unlikely to get 2 first-rounders plus a young player for Crosby, but there are teams willing to give up a first-round pick and then some, or a collection of picks that equal to that, in order to land the 28-year-old Crosby. Multiple sources indicate the Chicago Bears are a team to watch in potentially dealing for Crosby. The Bears aren't the only team with interest in Crosby. The Dallas Cowboys are lurking, according to sources. So this is now 4 national insiders that have linked Crosby to the Bears in the last 72 hours. Albert Breer has done it multiple times with SI. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, Jonathan Jones, just now CBS, and then Jeremy Fowler of ESPN as well. I think it's clear that at minimum the Bears are interested. Discussions are ongoing. They're communicating with the Raiders and potentially trying to get a deal done. Now, have they made a formal offer? I don't know. I don't know the specifics on where things stand right now, but there's a lot of smoke out there, and I do think, and we'll kind of discuss this in a minute, that Crosby, I think, is eager to try something new at this stage in his NFL career. Now, Diana Rossini, as far as the draft pick compensation goes, she wrote this on social media, despite Jones saying it's unlikely the Raiders will get 2 first-round picks. She says, so where do things stand with Crosby? Based on several conversations with league sources, the Raiders have not moved off from their asking price of 2 first-round picks and a player. Several teams are interested, but decision-makers are getting mixed signals from the Raiders in regards to their genuine interest in dealing their star. They want the Micah Parsons deal. They're not getting the Micah Parsons deal. Just like Jonathan Jones said, I'm not giving that up. I'm not giving up 2 firsts and a player for Crosby. I'm not just giving up 2 firsts. I'm not doing it. He's 2+ years older than Micah Parsons, and if you factor in the timing of the trade, it's really closer to 3 years older than when Micah got traded. It does not make sense, really, for any team to do that. And as much as I would like to see Maxx in Chicago, I think he wants to be in Chicago. I think he'd be a great player and a great fit for this team, for the city and this organization. You have to have standards. You can't just empty up the bank and just give the Raiders whatever they want. So this is my best offer. I'll give up a first this year, a third next year, and DJ Moore and or Tremaine Edmonds. You want them both? You can have them both. That's fine, because those are 2 players that the Bears would likely like to shed anyway to clear money. That's a good offer, man. That's a first this year, that's a day 2 pick next year, and that's 2 plug-and-play starters that would help the Raiders' offense and defense. If they get a better offer elsewhere, so be it. That's about as far as I can go if I'm Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears, and even that was kind of like on the high end for me. Okay, Michael Silver wrote a piece for The Athletic as well, not Bear-specific, but just kind of outlining why he thinks it's pretty obvious Crosby wants out and what the Raiders are going to do at this point. He said, Crosby has not made a stink publicly, partly because of his deep affection for the Raiders fan base, but it's clear that he's exhausted all efforts in Vegas. He had a new boss every 12 seconds with 1 winning season out of 7 to show for it. That's enough to make anyone angry, and asking for Mad Max to spend what's left of his prime on a team struggling to compete seems supremely uncool. If Spytek and Brady, John Spytek, Tom Brady, are indeed thinking long-term, they'll sift through the offers for Crosby, find a suitable trade partner, and thank him for his services. I think one thing is pretty obvious at this point is that Maxx Crosby wants a fresh start. He wants to try something new. He knows the prime of his career isn't going to last forever, especially for a guy who's played a lot of snaps and a guy who's had a couple of injuries. I mean, he entered this offseason with a knee surgery, which is why asking for the Micah deal is just ridiculous if you are the Raiders. And he doesn't want to be the bad guy. He does love Raider Nation. I know that firsthand. But the bottom line is he's not going to go public, not going to be a James Harden. But I think behind the scenes, he's probably told the Raiders, like, hey, like I want to try something else. And I've made this argument for weeks now on this show, on Four Verts, my all NFL show. It makes sense for the Raiders to trade him. I'm not saying trade him for pennies on the dollar, but if you get a first plus more, that's a good offer, man. Like for a guy who's closer to 30 than 25 and has had multiple injuries in recent years, like to me, that's a pretty, I don't want to say easy decision, but that's the right decision for the Las Vegas Raiders. Commit to Fernando Mendoza in this rebuild and start fresh with this new look team. Okay, Benjamin Albright also added this last night. He replied to someone on Twitter saying, well, the Bears would be his preferred destination, talking about Crosby, if he got to pick, although I don't know how they'd make the economics work there. Dallas offered at the deadline last year. Well, the money part of it's easy. We've outlined that out on several videos. If they move on from Tremaine Edmonds and DJ Moore, that alone makes you able to absorb Maxx Crosby. That doesn't even begin talking about restructures and other moves. So that part of it is not super challenging for the Bears. They can make that work. And Albright saying his preferred destination is the Bears. I've heard that. I think if you watched the Maxx Crosby, Caleb Williams interview, which we did a video reaction to that, it felt like to me he wanted to play in Chicago. They were vibing when Caleb was telling him about the city leading up to game days. Like he seemed like really into that. So I think he knows the history of the Bears, the monsters of the Midway. This is a win-now team. He's a believer in Caleb Williams. He's never had a quarterback that he believes in like that, a guy who can get over the top. So, listen, I don't know if this is going to happen, but I think there's a lot of legs to it. I think there's a decent chance it does happen. He's still minus 145 odds per DraftKings to land in Chicago. I don't want to make too much of that because there can be a lot of reasons for the betting stuff to move like that. They probably got a huge bet on it happening for Chicago, so they move the line. But still, there is a lot of smoke at this point, and I do believe this. I do think Crosby wants to play for the Bears. Whether he will or not, that remains to be seen. Maxx Crosby will play for the blank in 2026. Which team will he play for in 2026? Fill in the blank for us down in the comment section below. All right, let's talk about our awesome sponsor, PrizePicks. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks is going to make every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting, so don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Guys, March is here. This is it. Hoops is never more back than it is right now. So football might be over, but I'm watching PrizePicks basketball lineups every single night. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, fantasy score. Just pick more or less on the stat projections available and launch your lineups right now. You can also do season-long football stat projections. Those are out there. I have a 3-player lineup I've already used or already sent out there that I'm hoping cashes in down the road. More on Myles Garrett's sacks. He has 14 or more in 5 straight seasons, so I like the more than 13.75. And I love the more on Caleb Williams pass yards and Colston Loveland receiving touchdowns. $20 lineup to win $100. Check out PrizePicks today. Download the app. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Could DJ Moore be a target for the New England Patriots? Jonathan Jones also reported on this, saying that teams are monitoring his status and that the Patriots are a team to watch. Here's what he said directly. He said one Bears player that's getting or plenty around the league are keeping an eye on is wide receiver DJ Moore. The Patriots could be a landing spot for Moore if the Bears do a deal involving the receiver. Now, we've talked about this. It's well documented why the Bears would consider trading DJ Moore. His production's gone down a little bit. He makes a lot of money. The Bears have a lot of talent offensively in the receiver room, in the tight end room. It's not an anti-DJ Moore thing. It's a roster construction thing. I don't know how many times I have to break it down. If you trade DJ Moore to save $16.5 million, I just think it makes a lot of sense, especially if you are trying to go out and get a guy like Maxx Crosby. And you need to go shore up your center position now after Drew Dahlman decided to retire. I think this is probably where things are sitting here, depending on what happens with A.J. Brown. I think he's the first domino at receiver. I think other teams could look to pivot to DJ Moore. If the Eagles are getting cold feet, not willing to trade A.J. Brown, I think you'll see some of these teams that are looking for a receiver to make an offer for DJ Moore. I think a team like the Buffalo Bills would like to get Josh Allen another weapon. The Raiders, within or out of a Maxx Crosby trade. The Patriots certainly linked specifically here, but I think they make a lot of sense if they can't get A.J. Brown. The Giants, we've discussed potential trades between the Bears and New York involving a Kayvon Thibodeau as well. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, are an interesting team. I think he'd be a perfect fit opposite of what DK Metcalf provides that football team. And then the Tennessee Titans, too. You got to get Cam Ward some weapons. I'm sure there's a few other teams out there, but those 6 teams stand out to me in terms of where DJ Moore would fit in and make sense really well for some of those teams. Jonathan Jones did also, when he was writing up about DJ Moore, say that DJ could go to Vegas in a Maxx Crosby trade. So that's something we've talked about. I've cooked up trade ideas like the one I did earlier or the one from earlier. Yeah, I did have DJ. I had DJ and Tremaine, but I've had other trades where DJ could end up in Vegas. I've heard that that's a possibility. So we'll see on that front. But I do think DJ's trade market could actually be a little better than I thought. You might actually squeeze a day 2 pick out of DJ Moore, which I think would be great, especially for a player that you're not just begging to move on from, but a guy that, for financial and roster construction reasons could make sense to pivot off of if you are the Chicago Bears. And in general, I expect trades to ramp up quickly. We saw the McDuffie deal just go down. I'm going to talk about that on 4Verts. If you want to come check out that video, that'll be up in an hour or two. But other movement around the league, Crosby's a big domino. Does A.J. Brown get traded? Action is going to start to happen because free agency starts Monday, and these teams want to know, hey, if I can't trade for a player at this position, I got to pivot to a player at that position in free agency. So the next 4 or 5 days are going to be critical on the trade market. What will the Bears get in a trade for DJ Moore? I would still probably guess like a 4th. I don't know if you'll get a 3rd, but I do think you might. 4th feels like the sweet spot given his contract. We'll see where it ends up going. Could depend on like where the team is picking in that round. Like if it is a team like the Patriots, maybe it's the 3rd because they would have a super late 3rd round pick. So that is certainly a possibility. Okay, coming up later today, we will get into some Drew Dahlman replacements. I was going to do that this morning, but there's too much trade rumors going on, so I wanted to catch you guys up on the latest with Maxx Crosby and DJ Moore. So subscribe to the channel. We'll take a look at some centers that the Bears could examine and bring in to replace the retired Drew Dahlman. My name is Harrison Graham. We will see you guys soon. Bear down.